sworn in. If you just stand on the side of the bench, if you raise your
Yes, sir.
You solemnly swear you're going to testify the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this matter now before this jury, as you would affirm or answer unto God.
Yes.
All right, thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you.
I'll just remind you, if you have a cell phone, actually, you can put your purse back here if it's
Yes.
easier. And is the cell phone off?
Yes.
Very good. Have you testified before?
I have.
Okay.
I don't have a copy of September 3rd. I lent it for copies to be made.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think I gave it back to Mr. Johnson.
Okay, thank you.
You have your CV?
I do.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, and so just a couple things, testified before, so wait till the question is asked in full before you answer, even though you may know the answer. If there's an objection, just stop speaking for me, please.
Yes, sir.
And then I'll let you know what to do after the objection is ruled on. Rob's the court reporter, so he wants to make sure he gets your responses. I have a control of the voice as well as, so I would just ask for you to get comfortable, and if you'd stay in that posture, then I can adjust the microphone. Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and all answers are verbal responses, and so why don't you state and spell your name, we'll see how the volume is. Thanks.
Yes, it's Megan Testa, MEGANTESTA.
Thank you. Mr. Mack.
Judge, my understanding is that there's going to be a stipulation as it relates to her expertise in the area of forensic
I
psychiatry.
believe there will be a stipulation, Ms. Faralia?
Yes, there is a stipulation.
All right, and so again, ladies and gentlemen, parties have agreed to her expertise in forensic
Psychiatry.
psychiatry. So we're going to allow her to testify as an expert with both parties acknowledging it. Mr. Mack, thank you.
Good afternoon, Dr. Testa.
Good afternoon.
Can you please tell these jurors your professional title?
My name is Megan Testa. I'm a medical doctor. I specialize in forensic psychiatry.
Okay, and why don't you tell them a little bit about your educational background in the field of psychiatry?
I completed medical school at Case Western Reserve University and earned a medical degree there, an MD. From there, I went to a general adult psychiatry program at university hospitals, Case Medical Centers. I did that psychiatry program in adult psychiatry and graduated in 2011. I took a board certification in adult psychiatry. I completed a fellowship in forensic psychiatry. It's a one-year subspecialty fellowship, and then became board certified in forensic psychiatry as well. I additionally did a public and community psychiatry fellowship as part of my training.
And have you attended or conducted continuing educational seminars, conferences? Yes. Tell us about that.
Yes, I routinely complete continuing medical education. I complete a lot of conferences with the American Academy of Psychiatry and Law. That's our subspecialty organization. I also attend conferences with the American Psychiatric Association to earn those credits. And then AMA offers credits. The American Medical Association will offer credits. I'll keep up the medical part of my expertise through those.
Okay. And I think you touched on it, but you are a member of any professional organizations or societies?
Yes, I'm a member of the American Psychiatric Association. I'm a member of their Ohio chapter, and I've been president of that chapter. I'm a member of the American Academy of Psychiatry and the Law. They have a Midwest chapter. I've been the president of that Midwest chapter as well. And then I have some memberships to other organizations as well.
And
Okay.
then I'm just going to, if you could just slow down the pace a little bit from the court reporter.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Have you received any awards or professional recognition? And if you need to, you can refer to your CV, because I know it's...
Yes, I am referring to my CV
Okay.
here. I received in 2023 a Judge Stephen Goss Memorial Award for Leadership. I received from University Hospital's Case Medical Center from the Forensic Fellowship Faculty Excellence Award in 2021. I was granted the Residency Program Director's Outstanding Graduate Award from University Hospitals in 2011. Outstanding Resident in Community Psychiatry in 2009. And then I was a Public Psychiatry Fellow with the APA, which is an honorary fellowship from 2009 to 2011. And I was a Ginsberg Fellow with the Group for the Advancement of Psychiatry between 2008 and 2010.
Okay. And the number of times that you have testified?
Probably about 20.
Okay. And can you tell the members of the jury, what is forensic psychiatry?
Yes, so forensic psychiatry, in forensic psychiatry, we focus on the intersection between psychiatry and the law. For me, I focus on the criminal law and where that intersects with psychiatry.
Okay. Is it fair to say that you're not a part of the defense or the prosecution? You're a neutral evaluator appointed by the court?
That's correct. I don't do private expert witness work at all. I work for North Coast Behavioral Health Care, which is a state hospital, and then I work for the Cleveland Municipal Court. In both of those positions, I'm a neutral court-appointed evaluator only. In this case, I was a neutral court-appointed evaluator.
Okay. Did there come a time when you were ordered by the Court of Common Pleas to evaluate Ms. Bionca Ellis for competency?
Yes.
Okay. And you met with Ms. Ellis where?
I met with Ms. Ellis at North Coast Behavioral Health Care. I worked there from 2011 to 2012 full-time in competency restoration work, and then since I left that position, I've been a consultant there, and I visit there about once a week, and I do forensic consultation there. So my occasion to see Ms. Ellis was a part of my work at North Coast Behavioral. I was assigned to evaluate her case when she was admitted for a 20-day competency evaluation. She was admitted in August of 2024, and that's when I first evaluated her.
Okay. And can you tell us about the evaluation, the process that you would go through as it relates to evaluating her?
Yes. With a competency evaluation, what my job is to evaluate the person who's facing charges. I do a full mental health evaluation on them. That's a standard psychiatric interview and a diagnostic interview. Then there are two questions for me. Whether the person has a present mental condition is the first question. And the second question is whether that condition is impairing her, what's called her adjudicative capacities. So that has two arms. I need to decide if she can understand the nature and objectives of the proceedings that she's facing, and then if she's able to assist in her defense. So that is a standard competence to stand trial evaluation. You first decide if the person has a present mental condition, and then can they understand the proceedings, and if the third thing is if they can assist in their defense.
Okay. You reviewed her complete treatment and behavioral records from August of 2024 through January 2025?
That's correct. So the first time that I saw her, what I reviewed for the first, what's called a 20-day evaluation, what I reviewed at that time was the hospital records that were available at that time, which was from August 26th through September 3rd. That was for the first evaluation. I also was assigned to do her follow-up competency reevaluation. That I did in January. And for that, I reviewed her full treatment record from August 26th all the way through to February 1st.
All right. Did you review prior competency evaluations by Dr. Sarah West and Dr. Hatters Friedman as well?
Yes. As a standard part of a competency evaluation, we will review any prior competency evaluations. So Ms. Ellis had been evaluated twice for competence prior to being referred to North Coast for what's called a 20-day inpatient competency evaluation. So when I was doing the 20-day evaluation, I reviewed both of those competency evaluations.
Okay. Before interviewing Ms. Ellis, you informed her that you were conducting a forensic evaluation and not providing treatment. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And do you explain to her whether or not this is done in confidentiality?
Yes. So typically when you see a psychiatrist, it's private. That's sort of the whole point. You want it to be private. You want to say whatever you need to say. With a forensic evaluation, you do not have privacy. So I did inform Ms. Ellis, I will not be your treating psychiatrist. You and I will not be a patient and a doctor. I'm assigned to evaluate an issue for the court. That's the extent of our relationship, and anything you tell me can be included in this report.
Okay. And did she have a response when you communicated that to her?
When I saw her in September, in August, for the September report, she did have a response. Her response, in part, was bizarre. She asked me about Jesus Christ and where he was crucified, and she made some other bizarre statements about Matthew and Jesus and taxes. I did repeat to her, explaining the purpose of my evaluation, and explained non-confidentiality, and asked her if she was willing to proceed with the interview, and she did shake her head yes, that she had understanding and agreed to proceed.
Okay. Doctor, based on your review, Ms. Ellis has a long history of severe mental illness dating back to at least 2014. Is that correct?
That's correct. There are records from a community mental health center. It's called Murtis Taylor. They specialize in treatment of severe and persistent mental illness. She has been a client with them since November of 2014. And typically, individuals with mental illness don't necessarily get treatment when they first develop symptoms. Sometimes it takes a minute. So I would say definitely she had that illness in November 2014, but probably before.
So she's been diagnosed with schizophrenia and schizoaffective disorder in multiple hospital settings?
That's correct.
Okay.
The Cleveland Clinic records show that she was admitted at Lutheran and Marymount and diagnosed there. And then she had a referral to another hospital by Metro Health and was diagnosed there as well.
Okay. And can you tell the jurors what are the symptoms of schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder? What is that?
Yes. Schizophrenia is what we call a thought disorder. So with schizophrenia, the mind breaks from reality. The word schizophrenia means split mind. It's not to mean split personalities. It's that the mind itself is splitting from reality. So the symptoms that you'll have is your thoughts are not with reality anymore. People will believe things that aren't true. They have delusions, which is a fixed false belief. You cannot convince the person otherwise. That thinking is coming from the same part of the brain that produces real thought. So it feels like any of us would feel about something that we know is true. People will also have hallucinations with a diagnosis of schizophrenia. That means that their senses are firing when there's not something real there. Most common in schizophrenia, people will hear voices, comes in through your ears. It's coming from that same lobe of the brain where real hearing comes from, so it sounds very real. People will also see visions is pretty common in schizophrenia. Disorganization of thinking. Thoughts become really jumbled. So people will go from one thought to the next, and the associations between those thoughts we call them loose. It's like you can't really follow it. You can't follow what they're saying. People will have disorganized behavior as well. Their behavior, you watch it and it makes no sense why they're kind of engaging in the behavior that they're engaging in. There is cognitive deficits as well in schizophrenia. There's some affective symptoms that you'll see. There's a blunted affect, so they don't show the normal range of expression that we would expect an individual to show. So that expression is blunted. The expression can also be very inappropriate. So people can smile and laugh for no reason, frown for no reason. The affect is really not matching the emotional expression that they're having. It's not matching what's going on in the environment. That's typical of schizophrenia. Schizoaffective disorder, what that is schizophrenia with an affective or a mood component. So people will have schizophrenia, they'll meet criteria for schizophrenia, and they will also have mood disorder as well, be it bipolar disorder with mania and depression or depressive disorder with just depression.
Okay. Let me ask you this. In September of 2024, did you generate a report identifying your involvement in this case?
Yes,
And did you opine certain things?
I did.
Okay. And did you do the same in February of 2025?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to hand you what's been marked as Defendant's Exhibits I, which is the September 2024 report, September 3rd. And then the February 3rd, 2025 report is going to be identified as Defendant's Exhibit H. Yeah, may I approach?
You may.
Sure.
September
Can you take a look at those and identify those? Look at H first. Which report is that? Is it the February report?
Yes, sir. H is the February report, and this is the report that I authored at North Coast Behavioral.
Okay. And then I is the September 2024 report.
Yes, that's correct. This is my initial report, the September report. There is also a second report here as well. That's because there was a forced medication order requested,
Okay.
so that is also attached here.
Okay, thank you. I want to get back to what you were discussing about the symptoms. You talked about the symptoms of schizophrenia. As a result of your involvement, did you learn whether or not Ms. Ellis had been hospitalized?
Yes, I did. In the information that I had available to me to review, there was evidence of 4 psychiatric hospitalizations. I'm going to refer to my report so that I can give you accurate information about those.
Which report are
Yeah,
you
I was just
referring
gonna
to?
ask,
The initial September 3rd report.
Okay,
And then what page?
which page?
If we go to page 5.
Thank you.
Okay. So the review of records that I did, this was records that were summarized in Dr. Hatters-Friedman's competency report. Those records showed that she was hospitalized in November of 2015. At that time, she was taken to the emergency department at Lutheran Hospital. Her mother had taken her there because she was not taking medications at the time. She had not slept for 5 days. She was hearing voices. She was expressing suicidal thoughts. She was experiencing these voices raping her and wanting to impregnate her. She thought there was a prophet involved. She was admitted to psychiatry at that time, and she was stabilized on. And
So for reading it all, if you would just read slowly for the court.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
She was treated with a combination of antipsychotic and mood stabilizing medications, and she was stabilized through that hospitalization. It was a 5-day hospitalization. Is that better? That's good?
Yeah.
Okay.
We all do that. We all read faster anyway, so I just want to make sure Rob gets it.
I speak quickly too, so slow me
Yes.
down at any time.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. And again, on
Would be fair-
page,
I'm sorry, I'm just going to sort of cut to it.
yes,
From November 2015
yes,
and December 2015, February 2016, October 2018, up to June of 2021, do you know if she was hospitalized further?
yes, 3 additional hospitalizations
Okay,
due to presenting to the emergency room off medications.
okay. And then in September of 2023, on page 6 of 14,
Yes.
was she hospitalized again?
Can you repeat the date?
September 2023,
Yes,
okay? And can you tell us about that?
yes. She had been taken to the Fairview Emergency Department. She had called 911 at that time. She stated that she didn't feel safe. She had been out of medications for about a month. She was unable to obtain refills in the community. She was seeing visions of people coming out of her walls to try to kill her at night. She was talking about Albert Einstein and a bowl of ants. She had been able to sleep. This record stated that she was visibly hallucinating at that time. They admitted her to Marymount Hospital, and she required an 11-day hospitalization and was stabilized on antipsychotic medication at that time.
Okay. And then it looks like, again, in October 2023, there was some issue with her medications, is that correct?
That's correct. She had run out of the medications that she received through hospitalization and was hearing voices. The voices were telling her to kill herself. She developed some suicidal thinking. She had cut her arm with a razor. She was taken to the emergency room. She, in the emergency room, was talking about paranoia of food. She hadn't been eating. She was also talking about seeing visions of whales and fish, voices telling her to go to war. She was talking about martial law, airborne disease. Disorganized thinking was noted in the medical record. She was hospitalized and stabilized again on antipsychotic medication. It was a 7-day hospitalization.
Let me take you into 2024. In February 2024,
Yes.
was she again at the hospital?
She was.
Tell us about that.
Yes. She was pink slipped at that time. What that is that's like an emergency order that police can write stating that someone should be evaluated in an emergency room due to a mental health crisis. So
I'll jump in again. So just,
slow you down.
yeah, just, you know you're fast too, so I want to make sure Rob's able to do it. I know he's going at a high rate with you, so
Yes.
I'll just ask you to be mindful, if you can, of just slowing down.
Yes.
Okay. So go ahead. Your question again was about that last hospitalization?
Yeah, in February 2024, was she hospitalized again?
Yes, she was.
Okay, tell us about that.
She had been taken to an emergency room by police. They had ordered that she be admitted, evaluated in the emergency room. So when she got to the emergency room, police told the professionals there that she had called and asked to be arrested for murder and conspiracy. There was no evidence for arrest for that. She was agitated in the emergency room. She was engaging in threatening behavior, bizarre behavior, screaming. She threatened self-harm. She was evaluated and stated to be hallucinating. She had delusional beliefs, talking about the murder of El Chapo, and she was hearing voices of mafia individuals talking, and she was recommended for hospitalization, noted to have acute decompensation of chronic psychotic disorder. They evaluated her and they set for a transfer to an outside hospital. There were no beds at Metro.
All right. Let me take you to the date of the incident.
Yes.
June 6th of 2024, while Ms. Ellis was in jail, do you know if she was evaluated by a psychiatrist? And I'm referring to the top of page 7 of 14.
Yes. So she was jailed in the Cuyahoga County Jail shortly after the offense, and that was on June 6th. She saw the psychiatrist who works in the jail. His name is Dr. Baskin, and he evaluated her. He noted that she was limited in her willingness to engage with him. She spoke to him in a curt manner. He described her as being bizarre in many of her answers, disjointed, and paranoid. And he, on that day, he diagnosed her with schizoaffective disorder, and he prescribed her Haldol, an antipsychotic medication, and he prescribed Cogentin for side effects, but she refused to take the medication. She said it was unnecessary and did not take it.
So let me stop you there. I misspoke. That's not the date of the incident. It's 3 days after the incident.
Correct.
Is that when she met Dr. Baskin in the
That's
county jail?
correct.
Okay. Ms. Ellis also was seen by a Ms. Stevenson, a social worker. Can you tell us the observations that were part of your evaluation?
Yes. So Ms. Stevenson, she's a social worker who works in the Cuyahoga County Jail. She noted that Ms. Ellis was seen sitting on the floor in her jail cell with no clothes on whatsoever. She was fixated on an investigation. She was eating her food with her hands instead of the silverware. She was making illogical statements, talking about dinosaurs, things that made no sense.
Okay. I want to take you back to the questions that we were discussing before we got into your report. And there's some history of noncompliance with her medication, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. And is that something that's typical with this population? And when I say this population, I'm talking about people who suffer from psychosis, schizophrenia, and other disorders?
Yes, it's typical. It's estimated that about 50% of people with schizophrenia are noncompliant with medications at some point in time. So it's very typical.
Okay. And can you speak to the voluntariness of it, or the voluntariness of it? Is that something that, why is it a part of that population? Why so high, 50%?
There are a lot of reasons for medication noncompliance. So in the population of individuals with schizophrenia, one symptom of schizophrenia is a lack of insight. So as we were talking about earlier, it feels real to the person with schizophrenia. What they are thinking feels real, what they're experiencing feels real. If you or I were told to take a medication and we did not think we had the disorder that we were being told to take the medication for, we would probably not take it. So for a lot of individuals with schizophrenia, that's how it feels. They think what they're going through is real. They're not going to take a medication for a disorder that they don't believe they have. And so poor insight, it's very common in psychosis and in schizophrenia, and that can lead to medication noncompliance. There are other reasons too, difficulty accessing care in the community, running out, missing your appointment, and then if you get off your meds a little bit, you can backslide very quickly, and then you're in a state where you don't want to take your meds. So that's why it happens, and it's very common.
Okay. Be fair to say that based on your review of the records and your experience with her, that she generally improved when she would take medication?
There's very clear evidence of that.
Okay. And was there some point in time that you had, or someone had discussion about the number of children that she had?
Yes, she was expressing, the first time that I interviewed her at North Coast, she expressed that she had 23 children. She stated that she had these 23 children when she was in the kindergarten.
Okay. When she was in kindergarten?
Yes, sir.
And was that part of her schizoaffective thinking or schizophrenic thinking?
Yes, that was part of her thought disorder. When I met her in September or late August for the September report, she did not believe it was part of her thought disorder. She believed it was true. She believed this interfered with her schooling. She was crying at night at North Coast, wanting to find these children that she believed were taken from her. So she believed that was true. When I saw her in January on medications, she said that that was part of her schizoaffective thinking, was the word that she used. But she had gained insight on medications that that was not true.
Okay. She also described delusions involving NASA, Queen Elizabeth, the FBI. Can you tell us about those?
Yes, when I met with her in August, she expressed a number of very bizarre ideas. She talked about the FBI, conspiracies. She talked about espionage. She talked about Jesus Christ in the Bible, Matthew from the Bible, and him in taxes, related with taxes. She talked about people walking on water. She spoke of noise pollution, having these 23 children. And she also did speak about Queen Elizabeth. And
okay. And those thoughts are consistent with psychotic illness rather than rational thinking. Is that fair to say?
That's correct.
Let's talk a little bit about her course of treatment at North Coast Behavioral. When Ms. Ellis was first admitted at North Coast in August of 2024, I saw the term she was floridly psychotic. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Can you tell the jurors what that means?
The word floridly psychotic, or also grossly psychotic, is a term that means that they are displaying symptoms of severe psychosis.
Okay. Was she disorganized in thought and speech?
She was very disorganized. Her thoughts were one to the next, FBI, Queen Elizabeth. None of it was linking together or linking with reality.
Okay. And initially, did she refuse or did she comply with taking medication?
She refused medications. So she refused medications in the jail. That continued until she got to North Coast. She refused medications at North Coast. She told me she would not take any medications prescribed to her by her treating psychiatrist. The reason was she said she didn't need it. She also had some delusions about the pharmaceutical industry, and she believed that her disorder could be treated with bananas, riboflavin, and apples.
Okay. And a forced medication order was eventually obtained in September 2024, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and what is that? What happens with that?
A forced medication order can be issued by courts. So it can be issued by a probate court or a criminal court. In this case, when I saw Miss Ellis, my opinion was that she was ill and that she required medications. It would be in her best interest to take medications, that medications would be the least restrictive manner to relieve her suffering and alleviate her symptoms, and that it was the only way to restore her competence to stand trial would be through medications. That was my opinion at the time. Her treating psychiatrist, Dr. Vanderkar, had opined the same, that she lacked the capacity to really understand the benefit of medications, that medications would help her, and that it was the only way to restore her competency. So based on an opinion of two different doctors, two independent doctors, the court can issue an order to say that that patient must take medications whether they choose to or not, because it is in their best interest and they deserve a chance at that treatment. So that was issued in this case, a forced medication order to provide Miss Ellis with treatment.
And after that order, she began taking Haldol, and is it clozapine or clozapine?
Clozapine.
Okay.
Is
that correct?
She did.
Okay.
Dr. Vanderkar initially prescribed Haldol. That's an antipsychotic medication. She tried to bring that medication to a therapeutic dose, but Miss Ellis had some side effects, some anxiety, and some motor effects. She tried to treat that side effect with the medication Ativan, but she didn't respond well to Haldol. At that point, she offered Miss Ellis the medication clozapine. The medication clozapine is reserved for treatment-resistant schizophrenia or treatment-resistant psychosis. So as a psychiatrist, I can only prescribe clozapine to people whose illness is what we call treatment-resistant. So if they have failed to fully respond to other medications, at least two, then I can try them on this medication clozapine. So because her illness was deemed to be treatment-resistant, Dr. Vanderkar started clozapine for her.
Okay, and once the clozapine was introduced, was there gradual and sustained improvement observed?
Yes, there was. So her course with clozapine, the reason why it's reserved is because there are a lot of side effects to monitor for. And Miss Ellis has some physical health issues as well. So balancing the medication, the side effects, monitoring her other health conditions, that made the process of treating her complicated for Dr. Vanderkar. So there were some ups and some downs where she would do better, and then they'd have to hold off on raising the dose, or they'd even have to lower the dose. At a point, they had to stop the medications and obtain a consult from a cardiologist to ensure it was safe for Miss Ellis's heart to continue to take that medication. So it was a gradual course with some ups and downs, but what was clear in the North Coast chart was that she continuously improved on clozapine to the point where her thoughts became organized, her thoughts became reality-based, she stopped hallucinating, and she was able to engage in competency restoration groups and stabilize on that medication.
Would it be fair to say her competency was restored through consistent antipsychotic medication over time?
Yes.
Okay. Your January 2025 evaluation, was Ms. Ellis alert and oriented?
She was.
Okay. And again, you attribute that to the medication?
Yes.
Okay. She was able to identify her charges and understood that they were very serious, even mentioning the death penalty. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Was she able to identify various plea options, including not guilty by reason of insanity?
Yes,
Okay. Does she understand the courtroom roles of each person involved?
she did.
Judge, prosecutor, defense lawyer?
Yes,
Okay. And before, she never had the ability to do that until she started taking the medication. Is that correct?
that's correct.
Okay. Is it true that she still carries an active diagnosis of schizophrenia?
Yes, schizophrenia is a brain disorder. So once you have it, it's a lifelong brain disorder. It does not go away. It's chronic illness.
Without medication, would her symptoms likely return?
Absolutely. I mean, we know it for most people, that's true. But we know it as a fact for Miss Ellis because we have her records. It's very clear from her records when she stops medication or when she runs out, her symptoms return.
Okay. Even with medication, individuals with schizophrenia can experience intermittent relapses. Is that correct?
Yes, that's true. That's why, as psychiatrist, I see my patients with schizophrenia at least once a month. If once they were on meds, their symptoms would be gone forever, we would have no need for follow-up. You know, we would just put them on those medications, and that would be that. But it's not how it is. That's why we need ongoing visits. We might need to titrate medications or change them.
Okay. In your February 2025 report, did you opine and make certain findings?
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors what those are?
Yes. So my first role, as we talked about, was competency evaluation. My second role was, again, competency evaluation. So when I saw her on January 15th, I was evaluating, does she have a present mental condition? Can she understand the proceedings she faced? And can she assist in her defense? I did opine with reasonable medical certainty that she had schizophrenia. That was my diagnosis of her. That I based upon her long, well-established history of delusions. So those are the fixed false beliefs, as well as her disorganized thinking and her auditory hallucinations. So that established a diagnosis of schizophrenia. So my first opinion was that she did have a present mental condition. My second opinion was that she, despite her mental condition, was able to understand the nature and the objectives of the proceedings she faced. And that was because she was on the antipsychotic medications, okay? And then my third opinion was the same, that she could, in fact, assist her defense because she was stabilized on the medication.
Okay. You would agree that if she discontinued her medication, her symptoms could return?
Her symptoms would return, so it's not even a could. Her symptoms, yes, they would return.
And if that occurred, she would again become incompetent to stand trial. Is that correct?
She could. She would require a reevaluation.
All right. And in your report, again, you note she still has schizophrenia, has a present mental condition right now. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. And is it your contention that that condition existed at the time of your evaluation and likely existed long before her arrest?
Yes, it existed since 2015 per the records.
Okay. All right. In her prior psychotic hospitalizations or psychiatric hospitalizations and delusional thinking predates the charged offense. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And those records that you have reviewed reflect a pattern of losing touch with reality when she's off of her medication. Is that correct?
Yes, that's very clear in the records.
Okay. Now, let's be clear. Your evaluation focused on competency to stand trial. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. Not Ms. Ellis's mental state at the time of the alleged offense. Is that correct?
I did not evaluate sanity. That was not my role.
Okay. So you were not asked to give the opinion of whether or not she knew the wrongfulness or or not of her conduct in this case. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So your report does not address her sanity at the time of the offense?
It does not. I wasn't assigned to do that, and so I did not even ask the questions one would ask to perform a sanity evaluation.
Okay. But you are able to say that her same mental illness would have been present at the time of the offense, is that
Yes, she had schizophrenia. She was ill at the time, but I don't have an opinion on legal sanity because I did not do that evaluation.
correct? Okay. Even though you didn't do the evaluation, have you ever done an evaluation for sanity?
Yes.
And can you explain to the jurors what goes into doing that kind of evaluation as opposed to something for competency?
Sure. Competency is, when I do a competency evaluation, what I do is I meet with the person that I am assigned to evaluate, and it's an evaluation of them at the moment that I'm seeing them. What is their mental state at that moment? And then do they have what's called adjudicative capacity? So can they understand their charges, how the courtroom works, and can they assist their lawyer at that moment in time? That's what I was assigned to do, and that's what I did twice. A sanity evaluation is very different. What a person who is doing a sanity evaluation will do is they will go back. Once a person is competent, they will sit with them. They will gather from them their account of the days preceding the offense, their account of their mental condition around the time of the offense. They'll get their account of the offense itself, and then they'll review extensive records from collateral sources, hospital records, maybe emergency room records, police records, anything from the time of the crime. The role of someone who's evaluating sanity is to look at the time of the crime and make some determinations about how the person was then, why they did what they did, and whether their illness interfered with their ability to know it was wrong. That's a sanity evaluation. That I did not do.
Okay. Is mental illness limited to a particular group?
No, it is not.
Okay. Doesn't matter how much money you have, what color you are, what your
No.
age is.
No, we all have brains. It's a brain disorder, so it doesn't discriminate.
Okay. When someone, whether they're on medication or not, you can have a psychotic episode. Is that fair to say?
That's correct.
Okay. And we talk about psychotic episodes. What are we talking about?
To talk about a psychotic episode, it's not something that's in the diagnostic manual. So, but how we use that term is the person is having active symptoms. So I could have a patient who has psychosis, but they're on their meds and they are not having a psychotic episode at that time. The psychotic episode would be when the symptoms are present and those symptoms are active.
When active, can a person follow simple instructions?
Yes, a person with active psychosis can indeed follow a simple instruction, absolutely.
For example, get down on the ground, drop whatever you have in your hand. Is that something hypothetically that a person would still be able to follow that instruction even if it's active?
Yes, a person in psychosis could follow an instruction such as that.
Okay. And can they cooperate and be compliant even while their illness is active?
Yes.
Okay. Does the brain completely shut down, or do you still have some intelligence to communicate with other individuals?
You can communicate with other individuals with schizophrenia and with an active psychosis.
And information that you've learned over the course of time, can you still retain that information and articulate that information during communications with anyone?
Yes.
Okay. I hope that was a good question. I believe that you also opined at the time in your September 2024 report you had some opinions then, is that correct?
Yes,
And by the way, are each of your opinions in the January report and February report with a medical degree of scientific certainty?
yes, all opinions that I'm offering today are to a reasonable degree of medical certainty.
Okay. Tell us about your January 2024 opinion.
Are you asking me about the January opinion
I'm sorry, January 2024.
or the September?
September 2024. I got my dates mixed up.
Yes, sir. September 2024, that was when I initially saw Miss Ellis. My opinion at that time, she was presenting at that time with florid psychosis. Her thoughts were all over the place. When I did her competency evaluation, she was making a number of bizarre statements. I'm going to reference my report.
Okay.
Hold on 1 second. So, on page 11 of that report, she was able to tell me that she was facing charges, but she was not able to name them. She was not able to say why she was arrested. What she was saying was really neither here nor there. She did know that her charges were serious, but was very blasé about it. She wasn't really, she didn't seem affected by it. She had a very, very unusual affect, which is her emotional expression. So she was smiling and smirking and laughing for no reason, with no, type of event happening that should elicit that type of a response. That's common in schizophrenia as well. And then she talked about Jim Crow, Albert Einstein, relativity, NASA, and she was not able to give any information relevant to court. She also kind of was disengaged, so she was not able to really engage with me like the way that I would expect. She didn't really have much eye contact. She lowered her forearms to the table at one point and laid her head down on her forearms. Slow down?
Just a little fast.
Yes. She would derail in conversation. I tried to screen her long-term memory by asking her past presidents. She started talking about LeBron James and Jesus Christ. She talked to me about medications and that those would not be anything she would take. Talked about bananas being needed for her mental illness, riboflavin. I opined that she had an unspecified schizophrenia spectrum disorder at that time. I could see that she was disorganized and she was hallucinating. But what I couldn't tell was if there was a mood component to her illness or not at that time. So I gave her a diagnosis of unspecified schizophrenia spectrum disorder at that time. So I opined that that was a present mental condition. I opined that she could not assist in her defense due to that mental condition. I also opined that there would be no way to restore her competency without medications. I opined that she lacked the capacity to make those decisions about medications in her best interest, and that a forced medication order would be necessary.
Over what period of time while she was at North Coast did you have the opportunity to observe her behavior?
I observed her on directly on the two occasions that I evaluated her. I reviewed her full medical chart with 24/7 nursing observations and all the notes from all the medical professionals.
Okay. And the first date that you saw her was when?
August 28th,
Okay.
2024.
Is it your opinion that her mental illness or schizophrenia was active at that time?
Yes.
Did you have the occasion to watch any video of Ms. Ellis at her arraignment for her legal proceedings?
Yes, I saw that.
And the observations that you made when you first met her in person and what you saw in those videos, was that consistent with your observations at North Coast?
Yes, her presentation in the arraignments is similar to her presentation at North Coast, with the disengaging, leaning down, the bizarre affect. That is all consistent.
Would you recognize that video if I showed it to you?
Yes,
And can I ask you some questions about that video?
yes.
Identify what's been marked as Defendant's Exhibit E for the record.
Thank you.
Is there audio on this one? We're going to also play Defense Exhibit C. I believe that one has audio. And if it doesn't, we'll go to a small mini laptop.
You go to the right, on the bottom.
Mm.
It was muted at the time, so now it'll.
April 10/29/2020, as a proximate result of the offender committing or attempting to commit an offense of violence, it is a felony of the first or second degree, to wit, felonious assault, Ohio Revised Code Section 2903.11A1, and/or endangering children in violation of Ohio Revised Code Section 2919.22B2. Count 4 alleges that on or about June 3rd, 2024, the defendant did knowingly cause serious physical harm to J.W. on date of birth 10/29/2020. Count 5 alleges that on or about June 3rd, 2024,
There's also a clip she responds to. Can you put that one? Dr. Testa, to the ordinary person, she looks like she's laughing
Correct.
while the judge is identifying the most serious of charges. Is there an explanation for that?
Well, as a psychiatrist looking at that, that behavior does not fit the setting. That does not fit the occasion. It's what we would call an incongruent affect or an incongruent emotional expression. The behavior is just not appropriate for the setting. She also looks to the side at points or looks up. That could indicate that she's perceiving something that none of us can perceive, that is in fact funny or is in fact amusing, but we cannot perceive that. That's another explanation for that behavior. What I can say is that is the behavior that we observed at North Coast while she was off medications. When she got onto medications, that behavior stopped.
Does she have the ability to control her actions if her illness is active?
One can control their actions.
How?
It's a broad question, but people with schizophrenia, they don't lose the ability to do like simple things. So it would really depend. It's a very broad question, but just having schizophrenia doesn't eliminate all your ability to control your actions.
Okay. Could she have stopped what she was doing there if her illness is active?
That symptom is not controllable. So if that indeed is a symptom of schizophrenia, that affective inappropriateness, that is not controllable.
Okay. All right. I'm going to take one moment to confer with Mr. Johnson, if I may, Your Honor.
You may.
when her illness has been active over these many years, does she have a tendency to act violent?
There is described in the medical records periods of time when she is off her medications that she is aggressive. So there is description of that in the Metro Health record from her ED visit. There is also description of that in the North Coast records. Prior to stabilizing on medications, she was aggressive on several occasions, requiring like an emergency dose of medications, and she was involved in 3 separate acts of aggression against others before she stabilized on medications.
And when she stabilized her medications, is there any documented behavior of aggression or violence?
At North Coast, which is the extended period of records that I was able to review for her, once she stabilized on the clozapine, or once she began to stabilize on the clozapine, there were no further assaultive behavior, no further aggression in that North Coast hospitalization.
By the way, that video that we showed you, defendants exhibits E and C, and are you aware that she responded to the judge in Spanish?
No.
Okay. All right. Judge, thank you for your patience. Thank you for answering my questions.
Thank you,
Yes.
Dr. Psych.